And how are you guys doing? This is Jimmy. Today it's the 15th of April. It's 1 o'clock and 4 minutes Dutch time, UTC plus 2. I would love to dive into some charts with you. By the way, if you're listening to this recording, hit that like button. And if you want, you could request a chart request. If you want me to chart any coin or any ticker, let me know. So this is the Bitcoin Liquid Index. I want to go back to the halving events. These vertical lines you see here and here and there and here, these are the halving events. And what we normally see is post-halving event of multiple weeks, and then we see a surge in price action. It happened here, it happened here, it happened here, but it hasn't really happened here. We got this breakout, but there was no continuation. So this is very different from these previous cycles. And there are a lot of arguments to make that this cycle is different, and I truly believe that this cycle is different. I've made this statement this year, last year, and the reason is Bitcoin is very matured at this point. If you look to how many Bitcoins have been purchased through the ETFs and how many countries are hodling their Bitcoins, companies, private companies, public companies, it's enormous. Almost 3.1 million Bitcoins have been taken out from the supply. And very likely these players, especially the ETF holders and countries, probably also companies, they will not sell their Bitcoin for altcoins, period. So 3.1 million Bitcoin, that's a lot of capital. That capital will never rotate into altcoins. So this is therefore a very Bitcoin dominant cycle. I still believe that having a lot of Bitcoins in your portfolio compared to your altcoins is the best way to go. If you're exposed to altcoins, well, altcoins are really beta here. So Bitcoin is actually lagging here, or not sure, not to say lagging, but it's not doing what it has done previously. Also, the RSI, it's actually kind of on a support level on the weekly. My general rule of thumb is nothing good happens if the RSI is below the 50 level. We want to have the RSI above the 50 level, and it might cross the 50 level in the next few weeks or maybe even this month. This trend line is this value trend line is still intact. So all I would say the primary trend, I mean the secular trend obviously is good. The primary trend, it depends how you measure this, but it's still intact. So from that angle, I'm not too worried. This is the monthly chart. Probably there are a few EMAs that are not relevant here, and I cannot disable them. Anyways, this blue line, that's the important line. What do we see here? We see that the price is trading above the 12 EMA on the monthly chart. So this is the monthly chart. What we also see is a massive bearish divergence on the monthly. We see it here, just like the RSI divergence that happened in the previous cycle. This basically marked the cycle top. So a bearish divergence on the monthly, I want to say a few things. It's very concerning, that's one. Secondly, it takes time, a lot of time, before it fully plays out. I mean, look, here, what do you see here? Bearish divergence established in, let's say, 8 months, right? But for that bearish divergence to fully, play out, it needs 13 months. Imagine price action going down for 30 months long. It would mean if we would use the fractals from the previous cycle, it would mean that we might see a cycle low somewhere in February 2026. Do I believe that this is the most likely scenario? No, because Bitcoin is still trading above the 12 EMA. I mean, a wick below, it's fine, but a monthly candle close below the 12 EMA, it's very concerning, and likely I do not want to have any exposure until it can reclaim the 12 EMA. But what we also see here is, and this is a good sign, is the RSI is kind of slowing down. Look, and almost, curling up. This month is not closed yet, okay? So we need to wait for the monthly close. I mean, an RSI that goes like this, that's bad. That's bad, because it even is going to take out this low. But an RSI that's curling up, it means, some momentum is kicking in, and that's often a sign of a potential reversal. This is the weekly chart on Bitcoin. I mean, from this angle, what do you see here? You see, like, especially when you focus on the yellow marks, you see a low, a higher low, higher low, higher low. And this, ladies and gentlemen, could be your higher low, even though that there is a massive bearish divergence. You can, if there's a divergence, a bearish divergence, or bullish for that matter, you can see on a monthly. Very likely you will see it also on the weekly. This is a massive bearish divergence, but again, as I said, the RSI is here actually on a support level, but we really want to see the RSI crossing the 50 level, at least the 50 level, and then we could make the claim that this is a very potential reversal pattern. Also from the or is it from the EMA's perspective? That's strange. I cannot adjust the EMAs, so never mind. We see I can maybe computer's not really cooperating with me, but the point I want to make here is the following. Let's go to this chart. Is we see that the 12 and the 21 EMA are interacting here with each other. This might be, is this a bear cross already? No, not yet. But it's still trending here above the 50 EMA. So this is the 50 EMA. This 50 EMA basically aligns with the 12 EMA we discussed in the monthly. Close below, candle close below. A wick, doesn't matter, but a candle close below, that would be very nasty, because then you're gonna have a bear cross. So the 12 crosses the 21. And both are acting as a resistance, and then you don't have only the 12 and 21 as a resistance, but also the 50. And then I could easily price heading towards this level here, basically this zone here. That's very possible. I mean, if it closes below the 50 EMA, we only maybe need 3-4 aggressive weeks for Bitcoin to drop all the way to 60K, maybe even 50K. Now let's see what we have on the daily chart. Yeah, I see a lot of people, using trend lines. I'm not per se against trend lines, but I see a lot of people, not using the trend lines properly. I mean, this is, the daily chart. If you use a daily chart, don't use like the non-logarithmic chart. Always use the logarithmic chart. This is a, could be a valid trend line, but I rather prefer to use the RSI as the main for trend lines. What do we see here? We see here actually breakout. It's often a breakout you see on the RSI and then on the price. I'm using this strategy for a long time. I rather prefer to do this, on the RSI rather than on the price. Although, RSI is actually reflecting price, but often really you can backtest this also on a 12-hour chart. It's first a breakout on the RSI and then the price. If we're going to see a breakout or continuation of that breakout, this could be a really interesting level. Let's see where so that would be this line here, the gray line is the 200 EMA. As you guys can see, it's flattening, right? It's flattening. So it means that the speed of change basically is, is lower. But also this basically represents exhaustion. If you see something like this on a chart, wait, I think I need to restart my computer. But I'm so far already with my recording that I don't feel like to do a to stop and then record again. If you see the EMA like this, it means, well, there's actually a lot of exhaustion, but also a lot of indecision. In my opinion, this red zone here is the main resistance area. I shared this chart, where is it? A while ago. Let's go to the weekly. No, not this one, not this one. Yeah, this one. What do we see here? Since the cycle low, we have seen a lot of ranges here, 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 here. Very different compared to this, right? This was like a major range, okay? Probably the biggest we ever had. And then taking into consideration, and then accepting that this was the major deviation. And look, this breakout here, we had like a very different situation compared to the previous cycle. We had here a range, up, range, up, range, up, range, up. So what does it actually mean? A range here in this environment, actually normally also, if you check the work of Bulowski, a rectangle more often than not is a continuation pattern. But here we see a range. This was a range, and then it broke down, right? Normally you would say, okay, the range up, range up, range up. Probably this will go up as well. When we were trading here, I was expecting my likely scenario was up, but we had it down. And I believe it, if you consider this as a range, this low here is basically the target of this range, of this rectangle, because a rectangle can go up or down. And what I'm seeing here is actually an expansion of the range. So likely we're gonna have some price action between the range low, the range high, and I wouldn't be surprised at all to see price going to this mid-level. If it reclaims, we're gonna go back to range high, maybe gonna make a new all-time high, or deviation, fake height. I don't know, but at this point I rather want to be in a long position rather than a short position. Let's see if it makes more sense on a daily. I cannot even open my settings. That's really strange. I'll make sure that next time everything is working properly. So anyways, that's it for today. I'm not that concerned, to be honest. I think this is just like a macro low, also on the S&P. If you go to the weekly, this could be your your macro low before it makes another high. I mean, honestly, this was a all-time high, and at some point, we need to have these corrections, especially with Trump. Markets, they love to markets love to do things they normally do, and that's overreacting, reacting, underreacting, reacting. And I believe this was a major overreaction, but also very logic when taking into consideration that we weren't that far away from the all-time high. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you have manners, you want to drop a like hit the like, share this with your friends if you want, leave a comment. If you have a chart request, you want me to chart Ethereum, something else, let me know. Until the next time, God bless and see you around. Bye bye.